Hey, welcome to Roger That Chronicles. This is the place where veterans talk about issues that are of interest to veterans. And we want to welcome you to here. Hey, listen, don't forget to subscribe. Go on Spotify, YouTube, Apple. Almost find us just about any place. And 216 The Net is sponsoring this for us, or at least engineering this for us. And want to thank them. And once again, welcome. I'm Rick Prescott.
And I'm Mike Ruffner. Today we have Corporal Holland, just like the trucking company. And we're going to talk about Toys for Tots. It is the Christmas spirit. We're going to turn around and talk about, the program started over 75 years ago and what it means to the corporal being involved at his young age. And then I'll throw in some stuff that from the days I used to get involved with it. First, we're going to turn around and say, hey, Jason, we know you're listening. If you're not, shame on you. And we want to make a big deal today. Well, it is a big deal because today's 82 years since the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. And my understanding, they have 6 people that will be in the ceremony today. And one individual is like 104 years old. So the pool of Pearl Harbor survivors is getting smaller and smaller every year. But we got to pay attention, it's about national defense, and we can never let our guard down.
What ceremony is this?
The one at Pearl Harbor at the Arizona.
Oh, at the Pearl Harbor Memorial.
Right. And then Chicago's having one down there at Navy Pier. So there's a lot of veterans groups that are going to be doing something for today because while everybody else in the nation have forgotten, we haven't. We don't let go of our history.
Well, this is the day that President Roosevelt, it would have been yesterday, it would have been today, where he said,
next day,
today is a day that will forever live in infamy.
Yeah, that will be tomorrow.
That'll be tomorrow. That was tomorrow's speech. Well, there we go. So it shows you what I know about history. I don't know.
Well, and the thing too is that, as everyone pays attention to the history part, is that our government knew that we were getting to that point that we were going to go at war. But they have been telling the public that we're not going to get involved. We're not getting involved. We're not getting involved. And then they decide, well, we want to get involved, but it's almost like they kind of let us hang out a little bit. It's just like that general putting all the aircraft together and having all those ships in port at the same time. The stage was set by a bunch of miscalculations when the predecessor of the CIA, they had a better insight of what was going on.
Well, the other side of it too is that it would have been yesterday where the Japanese foreign delegation had formally told the Congress and the president that hey, there's still hopes. We still talk. We're looking for peace. They tricked us into believing that they were still going to continue talking, and then turn around and did this. So they did everything they could to keep this keep us occupied, focused on another direction, sort of thing. So
well, they had an equipment malfunction too because that declaration of war was supposed to be delivered before the first bomb dropped. Because the head of the embassy
just before.
Yeah, they turn around and they wound up being late, and by then the bombs were already dropping, which already pissed off the United States, and of course everybody got pissed off, and the rest is history. We kicked ass all over the world.
Well, but nevertheless, it was a huge battle that went on for the next 4 or 5 years, and lots of people suffered the consequences. So leading up to a lot of historical battles and bringing out the best in our country.
So. We're here about Toys for Tots. In 1947, Major Hendricks, another World War II Marine, I guess they were bored because the war was over that they had to create a lot of stuff. So a lot of things got happening there. Marine Corps had to fight with Congress and all the other branches to keep the survival of the Marine Corps. So they come up with an act that kept the Marine Corps around. At the same time, Major Hendricks, his wife, had a bunch of toys that needed to go someplace, used toys, and he was connected in the LA community with the movie stars and stuff like that. And that's how that came up. A lot of people don't realize is that Toys for Tots logo was done, did you know, by Walt Disney?
I did not know that. No.
Okay. Did you know that Walt Disney was a Marine?
No.
Did you know Walt Disney?
No.
So anyway, a little background history is that they got with Walt Disney to design the logo. But a lot of people didn't pay attention. It's back when they used to do the in mid-60s, they used to have some movies that it was all Disney programs. but Walt Disney would like do the intro before the movie started. So if you look at Walt Disney sitting at his desk and he's got all kinds of stuff on the wall, he's got a discharge certificate from the Marine Corps behind him upside down. He got a dishonorable discharge in World War One.
Oh,
So it's one of those. I'll show you.
Did he really get a dishonorable? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was an ambulance driver, is what I understand as the story goes, and don't know all the other details. What caused? But back in those days, dishonorable discharge kind of flew a lot quicker than they do nowadays.
Right. Well, now they have all these subcategories and so on.
So, Corporal Holland, we're going to test what's going on with Great Lakes Group with Toys for Tots.
so right now we just got off of our biggest event of the year, the Jeeps on the Run event. I'm sure as many of you know, and we just finished sorting out I think we hit about 6,000 to 7,000 toys for that event. And we just finished up sorting those out into our warehouse, and now we're continuing the distribution process because we've got plenty of organizations this year that we're providing for. I think we've already covered about 10 to 12 organizations that consumes about 3,000 toys overall, and that's all getting spread out to the kids of the community. And then we've also got our Family First Center event coming up. I believe it's the 16th or the 17th, and that's going to be our biggest one of all. And that's where all of the Marines on the Toys for Tots campaign are going to be handing out toys to the actual children and their families. I think that one covers about 5,000 children in one big go. So that's what we're working on right now.
So, how much cooperation do you have with the other local LCOs? I know that Fort Sheridan, H&S used to be in Chicago, but I understand they still have that territory, but they're damn near in your backyard, back hip pocket.
Yeah, so when it comes to cross-county campaigns for Toys for Tots, we like to help each other out, because there's a lot of organizations that kind of ride the line. And sometimes, like Cook County is a big one where they kind of just get oversaturated with organizations. They need a little bit of help. And, we're always happy to hop on there and assist. And, I mean, here I am today helping out the McHenry County Toys for Tots.
Actually, to kind of clarify that, you're actually, because we expect this to go nationwide. It's not just McHenry County, all over. So you may get a phone call from Florida or California. So it's kind of, I think that's what the Gunnies concept was. It's no, we're not here just for McHenry County. This is, when it's on the internet, it's for everybody.
Yeah, well,
But that's pretty awesome, though. I mean, you came out here to work in this particular area and all of that, but the Toys for Tots, as we all know, is nationwide.
Yeah.
And that's pretty fantastic. So you guys have raised money as well as toys, and all of that goes to who's your target? I mean, you're talking about kids, 5,000 kids and so forth, but who are they?
Yeah. So all of our, like you said, all of our donations go directly into purchasing toys to fill gaps in our donations. But what we cover is the age ranges go from 0 to 2. Then we've got our 3 to 5, 6 to 8, and then 9 to 12. And, in that 9 to 12 category, that can go up higher. It's pretty much just the higher end of the children. We pretty much cover everything up to 17 at that point. But yeah, so we cover from birth till, adulthood, basically.
Wow.
And anybody that registers up, the organizations will send us those requests. Obviously, we do boys and girls. So they'll send us a request, and they'll have it broken down in our age groups, and then we fill those orders to those specs so that they can, have as accurate of a handout as possible. Because, we don't want to hand out nothing but, 6 to 8 toys, and, they're sitting there trying to give infants and toddlers toys too. So
Right. Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, back in the day when I was involved with Toys for Tots, it was mid 90s, and at Foster Avenue, we had 600 collection points. And at that time, that's before they came up with law, all the regulations for LCOs and everything else. And the reserves actually participated. But we had everything from the city of Chicago down to the far south side, up to the top of Cook County, and then all the way out to Elgin. And I know that there's one time we were heavily involved with the motorcycle run before somebody goofed that one up. But the bike run, they had like 30,000 bikers, and they would fill the drill deck with toys all the way up to the rim of the basketball hoop. And they let it get big, and then they take their pictures and stuff. But I don't know. Are you guys getting challenged with some organization asking for too many toys?
So we have had issues like that. Just recently, we had an organization originally request around 3,000 toys, and we require that these children get vetted and verified so that nobody's double dipping in the community or anything like that. And eventually, they did go through and verify, and we had to take out close to I think it was about 500 toys from that order. So a lot of people possibly overestimate how many kids they're going to get because they keep registering even after they put in their request. So it kind of just depends. We have some where we have to take toys out because they overestimated, and then we have some that underestimated, and then we add on toys to their orders as they go. So.
Is there at times a surplus in toys?
Yes. So last year, it really helped out because the years prior, there were no surplus at the end of the year. But last year, I got to experience, we had plenty of surplus toys. And I think we had a little over 1,000, maybe close to 2,000 surplus toys from last year. And that helps us out because usually we have to purchase supplemental toys for that initial half of the campaign. But since we had leftovers from last year, we could just get right into filling orders and stuff, those early requests. And we didn't have to sweat, going out there really hard and begging for donations so that we could, fulfill those orders.
Wow. So you're talking about organizations. What kind of organizations? You're talking about church groups? You're talking about schools or?
Yeah, we do pretty much all of that. We have several schools that contact us, primarily churches, though, that families register through. And then, like I mentioned before, the Family First Center is our biggest one, and they're kind of their own independent organization that independent families go through and register. But yeah, we cover schools, churches, small businesses, and obviously we make sure they're all legit and we have them verified first. But yeah, pretty much any organization that's out there that says they have children to supply, we're willing to cooperate with them and get those filled.
What's really cool to me is the fact that and unlike other branches, the Marine Corps actually owns this. This is our baby. You know what I mean? And they do it well.
Yeah, it's a very unique experience. I've definitely enjoyed it. Like I said, it's my second year now, and last year I fell in love with the program. I had no idea what Toys for Tots was before that, and I volunteered for it. Had no idea what I was going to expect, and I just fell in love. I got to see firsthand. I got to physically hand toys to these children and see them smile and their eyes light up, and it's something I've never experienced outside of that. So it really opened up my heart and my mind, and that's why I'm here again on a second year, and I fully intend to volunteer for next year as well. As long as I'm in the Marine Corps, I'd love to do Toys for Tots every year.
Seriously?
Yes.
So even if you get shipped off
after the Corps too.
Yeah, as long as I'm not doing something else somewhere in the world or a deployment or anything like that, I'm going to try my very best to be on Toys for Tots.
So you get a lot of volunteers from other Marines that aren't necessarily a part or assigned to the program. You get a lot of volunteers from them.
Oh yeah. So it always depends year to year, but this year for sure we get volunteers from my same unit that weren't assigned to Toys for Tots. We get volunteers from the Navy half of the base, and we get civilian volunteers as well. So yesterday I think it was close to 20 people from the Zebra Tech company that just came out. They wanted to show their support. They were there last year too. And, they just take a day out of their office time and they come here and they help us sort out our toys in the warehouse. And then all this week we've had freshly graduated sailors from the recruit side come over and help us out. And, they've been a fantastic help because we're sitting at about 7 Marines for the actual campaign. And right after Jeeps on the Run, it's a scary task sorting out those thousands of toys. But yeah, we've got, I think it was about 20 plus Navy cats that we get every day. So that's really been helpful. But yeah, we get tons of volunteers.
Keeps them out of trouble while they're waiting for the school to start.
Yeah. They actually really enjoy coming and working for us because, we offer them LOAs that they usually wouldn't get sitting and holding and waiting for their next duty state. Letter of appreciation.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's something they usually wouldn't get until they're actually at their duty station. So, they're happy to hop on board and come help us out instead of scrubbing latrines or something like that on the recruit half.
That's fantastic. A couple of years ago, 5-6 years ago, it was prior to COVID, they had a Jeeps on the Run event in Johnsburg. It ended at a bowling alley in Johnsburg, about maybe 10 miles from here at best. And and I happened to go there. I just decided I'm gonna check this out. I couldn't believe the numbers of people in the community that showed up. And on top of that, of course, the Marines from Mag 48 were there, dressed blues, and a line of Jeeps that, you couldn't even see the end of it. And each Jeep had stuffed toys, and you guys had the large truck there that was filled and so on. And the amount of support that received, and I understand it was within the 5 years of the Jeeps on the Run starting or something like that. But then I understand now that convoy of Jeeps can go on for better part of a mile.
Oh yeah, I'd say it goes further than that. I know last year we basically gridlocked the upper half of the county because we had it was stationed at the Genesee Theater in Waukegan there, and we had traffic backed up for miles and miles where these Jeeps were all coming in one single swoop. I think it was roughly around 550 to 600 Jeeps that year, and they were just gridlocking the whole county almost. But it was a great turnout. We had about 2 semi-trucks worth last year. This year they planned it out. We had waves of Jeeps coming through, and it was still a lot. It was hectic, Jeeps for.
So you set up serial convoys instead of just one long.
Yeah. So I think it was closer to 800, 900 this year for Jeeps, but they were split into waves. So it was well managed. The event went off without a hitch, and we got 3 semi-trucks worth this year. Yeah,
See,
3 semi-trucks.
Now the motorcycle run that they do in the city that started like 35 years ago was started by a couple of Marines, Vietnam Marines, and one of them is Animal. He calls me up all the time. But anyway, they started 95th and Western down there there's a forest preserve down there where they do all their staging, and we're up there with Foster Avenue, which is 5200 North. And when the first arrival shows up, they still aren't even halfway of releasing the people that are on the south side.
Are you serious?
30,000 bike. Forbes, the guy, when he was alive, he flew in and took his bike off his private jet, did the run just so he could say he did the run, and then get back and fly to wherever he was on his way to.
Well, that's one of the most popular runs in the country. I understand.
Well, that's how McHenry came up with one. A lot of others started replicating because bikers, we were dealing with the Peyton Foundation one time, and this lady was talking about how she can get this, that, and everything else for Toys for Tots. And, we don't have that connection to the white collar community because of the way they're structured. It's hard to kind of get in and know how they operate. But lady that's in charge of the foundation, she started doing some disparaging stuff at this meeting, and we got 30 people in the room planning out the Toys for Tots, and she starts dinging on the bikers. And
seriously?
Oh yeah.
You don't do that.
Now and the bikers that are in there, you could see, and I knew all of them because Sheila and I used to go down to their kickoff party they do in September or stuff like that, and you just kind of see that there's steam coming out from the collars. and then I was a chairman at the time. And I'm like, let me explain something here. I says, 75% of the toys we get are from the biker community. And these bikers are not just bikers. I said, we got lawyers, we got doctors, we got cops, we got politicians. They all ride bikes and they make this run. So be careful because if I need people to do stuff, I got the whole. I can ask the biker community, and they'll drop at a drop of a hat.
Right,
they'll make it happen. You tell them you're short on toys, they'll find it.
Yep.
I don't know how they find it, but I'm not asking any questions.
So just to jump in here real quick, we have a question and a statement. Jason says, "How's the weather over there?"
It sucks where you're at.
I figured you'd dig that. Also, handsome guy by the name of Andrew Casaccio says, "What are the steps of becoming a civilian volunteer?"
So it's going to be super easy. You're just going to go to the toysfortots.org website, and it'll be our nation page, and then you'll filter for Illinois and Lake County, and then you'll click the Get Involved tab. Should be up there in the right-hand corner, and it'll just have sign up as a volunteer, and you'll fill out your information when you'd like to show up, what kind of hours you'd like to work, and then we'll just confirm that for you. We'll probably get in touch with you via the phone or email. And then after that, you'll come to the warehouse whenever you requested. We'll have you fill out a volunteer waiver because a lot of stuff goes on in that warehouse, you know.
I bet.
And then, you'll work your hours. We'll teach you everything you need to know about getting through the operations of the warehouse for the day. And simple as that.
I take it you guys vet the volunteers as well to a point.
A little bit. I mean, we're pretty generous, and we want everybody to come in. You know, we don't assume the worst of
Right.
anybody.
They shake them down before they get out.
Yeah, but we make sure we get all their information, and we want to make sure that we make it as easy of a transition for them because a lot of volunteers come in, they have no idea what's going on. We have a interesting way of setting up our warehouse. It's a little different every year, so it's just going through the motions of teaching them and making sure that they get it down to the best of their ability and helping us sort out our toys.
Fantastic. So how much support do you get from the veterans community at large?
Oh, we get tons. I mean, we're working with the U.S. Navy League right now. I've seen him 3 times this week, where every day
Is
he's.
that Bobby Ferguson?
I'm trying to remember his name right now.
The older guy?
Yeah, he just finished writing a book and everything. But yeah, he comes in just about every day because he's got a trunk load of toys to give us. And, we're always filling boxes with him. We've had several events with him this year, and I think we've got 1 or 2 more as well. But yeah, every year we get a nice large amount of toys and donations from them as well. And then post 801 with the Marine Corps League, they're a great help too. I've been on 2 events with them, going out there collecting donations and stuff like that at
Lake County?
Yeah. And with Walmart's. So we go out there and we collect thousands of dollars at each event almost. And so it's a great turnout. I love talking to those guys, getting a glimpse into the past of the Marine Corps, and they like to get information from me on how it turns out now. So, I always enjoy hanging out with them.
So you see the Lake County Marines. You see any other Marines in like Northwest Suburban or in Chicago? You
Well,
you can
would be Foster Avenue, or it would be 224
right.
Northwest.
Oh, that okay.
Now,
so
Tri-County, they imply that they work with you guys.
So I mean, there's not a whole lot across
They're
the county line.
group.
They're smaller. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure on the specifics for that group, but I mean, like I said earlier, we cross lines if need be. So anytime that they outreach to us and we have the time or the Marines to support it, we'll send them out there, no matter what county they're with.
One other thing for the gentleman that was looking for information is that if you identify a Marine Reserve unit, there's going to be Toys for Tots. So if you don't live in our area and you live someplace else, find the local group that's closest to you. Because because Joliet has one, for example, that's where weapons companies at. But it doesn't make sense for somebody to come all the way up from Joliet to Great Lakes, because that's like 2 hours driving time,
Right,
2.5
right.
hours, depending on construction of the great state of Illinois.
So even in the rural areas, this is quite an operation as well then.
Right.
So wow, that's awesome. I know we have a coordinator in the McHenry County area as part of our league, part of the Marine Corps League. And we know several members of the Marine Corps League. Out of 139 people, we have several of those that are involved in the Toys for Tots program here, doing basically the same thing, collecting toys, putting out the boxes, going to pick them up, and keeping everything distributed and communicated and so forth. So it's really something else, So that's awesome. Glad to see you enjoy this.
Oh yeah, love it.
Yeah. So how long? This is your 2nd year, you said?
Yes.
What did you do before that?
So you mean like before the Marine Corps, or?
Well, you've been in the Marine Corps for what?
A little over 2.5 years.
2.5 years in the Marine Corps, already a corporal.
Yes.
That's fantastic. In its own rights, particularly these days.
Yeah.
So what did you do? What made you go in the Marine Corps? What was your deciding factor?
I mean, I come from a long line of military family members. I've probably got about 15 members across the extended family, all services, Coast Guard, Navy, Army, National Guard, but I only have one Marine in the family. And, I've talked to him and heard his experiences. He loved the Marine Corps for when he was in. And then, of course, back in high school, I did all 4 years JRTC. So I got that nice.
Did you really?
Yeah, I got that nice contract promotion. Some people were a little salty about it, but, I like it. But yeah, so I did my 4 years. It was an Army JROTC, but and then at the senior year level, you're getting recruiters coming in trying to get a hold of you. I saw the Army and the National Guard come in, and some Navy cats, and none of them really just seemed to have as much sway as when those dress blues walked in the door, and all that confidence. He just sucked up the environment around you, and you knew right then and there. I knew for sure that that's what I wanted to be. He said it's the hardest branch to get through, the longest boot camp, most difficult training. I said that's a challenge I'm willing to accept. I want to be part of the family legacy of military members, and I'm the second Marine to join. I've got a cousin who just graduated boot camp a couple months ago, so we're making it roll. We're extending that out.
You should go into recruiting.
I don't know about recruiting, but I have done some side recruiting, but I don't know if I could hold the station for.
The thing is, if you stick around the gun club, you will do something.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And in order to get your career to go forward, the two careers are either drill field or recruiting duty.
Yeah, I've already got my hit list notification.
Right. And the thing is, if you don't mind yelling and screaming at people all day long, then you go to drill field. But then you better be able to, max your PT, because you're going to have a bunch of young studs coming in there because of our gun club rules. But on the recruiting side, it changes. It's a business outlook. You're because I used to be a recruiter.
No, all right.
Back in the day, and it's all about sales. And if you love the core, it's easy to sell.
Yeah.
It just. The swagger you talk about, that's the swagger you go into school with, and you'll attract people. I used to purposely walk into high schools during right around the times that they're changing classes, and all I do is say, "Hi, how you doing? How's your day?" Small talk as they're in passing. And after a while, if you did that at the beginning of the school year, then a little bit later on, they start asking questions, and once they ask questions, you get hooked.
Yeah, it's a long-lasting impression on there. Like, who's that guy?
I'm still in
Looking like
contact
a
with
stud.
several of the people I put in. One lives in Lake of the Hill, and then Lou Gilgan, he's on Roselle. And then there's another one that's over there in Gurnee.
So Lou was one of your recruits?
Yeah.
Was he really?
Oh, yeah.
He's awesome, man. He's good. Now, if you really want to do something really fantastic.
Oh, don't even go there, because that'd screw you up. He's talking about embassy duty. Oh, that was
You got to go on embassy duty. That is, you got your dress blues, got the eye candy, and the little diplomat girls looking at you. And say,
What's that? Is that the MSG field?
the MSG field.
Oh,
And the problem is if if they're coming over the walls and the ambassador say you lay down your weapons, that's hard for a Marine to lay down your weapons. This guy may not know what he's talking about. Of course, you look at Libya, look at Ambassador Stevens, look where it got him. Hillary left him out to dry.
That doesn't happen all the time. It only happened once.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm a little disqualified.
Twice in the same place. So it only counts one.
Well, we have one more question here. It looks like it's coming in from Kent Jones. Is there a specific type of toy that is needed? And where can we send the toys?
A fun one.
Yeah. So
Good question, Ken.
yeah. So we only accept brand new in the box toys. Sometimes we still get donated loose toys and stuff like that, but no used toys or anything like that. We prefer it off the shelf.
It's not like a Savers or a Goodwill kind of status.
Yeah, no. I mean, I've seen some toys where they come in and you can tell where the kid's
half
been
charred from the grill
sharpening on them or something
Right.
like that. I'm like, I can't hand this out to a kid. But yeah, so brand new in the box. We also take things like stocking stuffers, the smaller little items, and no consumables though. We don't do candy or any of the skin creams or stuff like that because that's a liability waiting to happen. But yeah, I mean, any age group you want, just as long as it's new in the box. We also don't do clothes because again, we can't really tell whether it's been used or not. And then they asked where they could drop it off.
Yep.
Okay, so there should be a location finder on the toysfortots.org website, and they'll show you the drop sites in the community where we've put our boxes out per request of those businesses and whatnot. Or you can go directly to our warehouse if that's closer, and I'll hand out the address on that. That's 3212 Maryland Street, and that's where we're directly headquartered out of for the county, and we are open at 8 o'clock in the morning till about 4:30 in the afternoon.
It's
Feel
Maryland
free to-
Street. What city?
So it's Great Lakes, Illinois. We're right there on the naval base. So just don't go into the security gate. You'll get turned around.
And one other thing about toys is that they do not want stuffed animals because they're allergens and things of that sort. Matter of fact, that's one of the bad things when you, especially when you get the, Jeeps on the run or motorcycles. Everyone's got to get the biggest teddy bear around, but they can't even. A lot of these people, they can't afford a vehicle, let alone getting something that's bigger than you, Rick.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And then like this one event we had, it rained. Well, guess what? Now we have a dumpster load of wet stuffed animals.
Right.
You gotta get rid of them. But it has to do with health issues and stuff with stuffed animals, so they don't want those. One of the things is probably as the kids are hitting that 10-year age bracket is more athletic type stuff. As more kids are doing soccer and basketball, things of that sort. That's something. If you're looking at, it's probably easier. You got better stuff with the younger kids than you get on the other end.
Yeah, our 3 to 5 age group definitely gets overloaded with toys, and then the baby toys get pretty full too. It's where, it's about 6 to 8 and up is when we start wearing thin in the warehouse. I mean, we just tapped out our 9 to 14 girls because all the orders that we're filling, we're not getting a lot of older, more mature stuff for the girls half on that end.
So to make it clear for our listeners and viewers, you need toys for 6 to 8.
Yes,
that age group.
Yes, that'd be appreciated.
Boys and
our main
girls.
focus right now is boys and girls 6 to 8, and then the 9 and up.
Interesting.
Yeah, the older spectrum is always more challenging, especially nowadays when kids are doing these things with their thumbs with Xbox and everything else. And of course, don't get your hopes up for an Xbox because it's pretty expensive. Something that they can use. But I know that my grandkids, they're all into sports now, so that's what they're asking for: volleyball, or basketball, or soccer ball. Be something that they have when they go out and play with their friends.
Kent says, "I love that Santa is on this show. Just didn't know he was a Marine."
Absolutely.
He,
there's pictures out there. We've seen it.
he's all right. He's all right.
And he won the gunnery sergeant.
He wants to know: do you collect toys all year round or just in December?
So the primary campaign is going to be from October till December, around 18th, 19th, 20th at max. But the organization does still go on year round. It's just not major collecting events like this, and it doesn't extend to the whole country. It's more of the HQ. They'll still do monetary donations and stuff like that. And I'm sure if you went on their website for that, they'd have better ways for you to get involved. But yeah, the primary push for nationwide stuff is going to be October till about mid to late December.
And the donation part is really an important thing that you got to look at, is that all year round, cash is easy to hold on to. The national headquarters for Toys for Tots, they'll sit on that money, they'll collect it all up. And then right around October, they're going to go to all these different groups and say, how many toys do you need? And as the corporal was mentioning about some of their groups, is that what's great about toys collection is that you can order and buy. We used to buy tractor trailer loads of toys and have them go straight to that organization.
That's awesome.
So it's a no-touch situation for the local Marines. If they can deliver it straight to that group, say, here's your truckload of toys, everything you need's in there, take you off the list.
Yeah.
Next.
I have a question. First and foremost, Thomas, thanks for being on the show today.
Of course, thanks for having me out.
So you mentioned briefly about back-end process that you guys have on sorting and everything else. Just kind of curious on the steps in processing that you guys actually do, so everybody gets an idea on that this is an organization that is, a well-oiled machine.
Oh yeah. So I'll run you through beginning to end here. So, we start the very first day of October, we start the campaign. So we'll typically send out promotional information, let everybody in the community know, hey, Toys for Tots is back up this year. And then we'll start accepting requests that go on online. You can request to be a drop site, request toys for your organization, volunteers, as mentioned earlier. And then from there, we'll set it up on our routing schedule, and we'll ship out our toys, we'll have our Marines drive through and we'll knock on your business door. Sometimes it's a person's house, they want to do that. And
Sure.
we'll hand you the toys, and we'll build them for you if you need to. We'll give you all the promotional stuff. We give out posters, banners, pamphlets, pens, pencils, stuff like
Sure.
that. And then from there, we every single day, just about until maybe about a week ago, is when we stopped dropping off boxes to start collecting. And so they'll set up their boxes at their businesses. Those locations will get uploaded, and then people will just start bringing in toys, dropping those off. And then as the season goes on, eventually we'll start having pickup dates. We'll go out into the community where we set up those boxes. We'll pick up those toys, and they'll come to our warehouse where we've built a whole setup. We have our age groups broken down in there. We've got large tri-walls on pallets for mobility. And then, we've got all of our paperwork and stuff set up for orders that come through with organizations. So we'll take those toys that we brought from the community, and then we'll sort them in our warehouse by age group into our larger containers. And then from there, we'll take a look at our organization requests for toys, and then we'll basically pick out which ones we need, how many they need from boys and girls, and the age group required. And then we'll package that up nice for them, and then we'll schedule an actual pickup date for that organization or delivery date, depending on what they can do. And we'll give them their toys, and then that gets distributed to the families registered with that organization. And then with Family First, because that's our biggest organization of all, we directly hand out those toys. So we'll take our large collection in the warehouse and we'll basically strip it and relocate it to another facility with the Family First Center itself. And then that's where the families will start coming in, making lines, filling out their information, and then we'll give them their toys directly.
Wow.
It's amazing. There's a lot of moving parts here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I used to be in distribution, in the distribution industry. That's a complex system, and that's pretty darn amazing.
Well, yeah, I forgot to mention the events too, because we get event requests. So on top of, keeping track of the drop-offs, the pickups, and then the organization's pickups as well, we're also going out into the community and dress blues, some camis for the Jeeps on the Run, but usually dress blues, and we're going out there and we're participating in all these events at all different hours of the day. So, it's a well-oiled machine, and it's very balanced. And, we have to come up with a very thorough schedule to make sure everything gets done on time.
So when a group transitions, like the gunny moves out, new gunny comes in, sort of thing, how does that, there's usually, there must be a hiccup. How do you get this, how do you keep that machine running?
Yeah, so most of the bumps are, smoothed out because each coordinator is required to go to an actual Toys for Tots coordinator course sponsored by the headquarters. So even though it's a new coordinator every year, they all have the same Toys for Tots coordinator course that they have to go through. So that gets rid of most of the, hiccups, as you say. But every year is going to be a little different, so it's unavoidable. There's going to be new problems. Some organization didn't fill out the right information, so we're making phone calls, sending emails, stuff like that. But that's just going to be every year, regardless.
That's follow-up, and that's part of the oil machine.
Yeah, but we
awesome.
always make it. We always make it work. So.
Well, and local commands too, like on the Marine side, there's usually an overlap. Like the gunny might be transferring next year, but the corporal's here, so there is some continuity that's going to continue with the program. That's
the fascinating part about it. There's continuity built within it, and that well-oiled machine, it continues no matter what.
Yeah,
So,
I'm very glad that I was able to participate last year, because a lot of us on the team had participated the year before, and that was a different warehouse, different system. So it was all kind of question marks on how we were going to operate this year, because the warehouse we have is shared with the Navy. It's kind of a different arrangement. So every year we've got to morph and change the way we operate it and still, create the same product and, have the same results. So I was very happy I could come in this year as well and kind of alleviate some of those tense questions where we didn't know how one thing was going to work. And I bring up, well, this is what we did last year, and it worked fantastic for us. So, and they'll usually take those ideas, maybe adapt it a little bit for the new year and how things work, and then we're able to continue on from there.
Sound like a battle plan.
Yeah.
Really?
You know,
Pretty
and
cool.
at this point too, is that a call to action, whoever's listening, is that find your local Toys for Tots drop-off box. Because the thing is, put yourself in that little kid's their brain housing group there. And do you want to get up Christmas morning and not have anything there? You know, people don't realize that we have people struggling in the United States. You know, they don't know where their next meal is going to be. You know, they're one step away from being homeless, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this little gift for the kids kind of gives them hope, even though they don't realize what their parents are going through, you know, living paycheck to paycheck type situation.
Well, and you're creating a memory, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Which is more valuable than anything. That's something that they get to grow up with and be like, well, we did have some Christmas. We did have
We have,
some kind of celebration. There was something involved where I did get something.
and we've actually had people that retired from the Marine Corps, but they went in the Marine Corps because of that Toys for Tots that they received as a kid. So you give them, you know, it's all about hope. You know, everybody, you know, what's that cliche that they use? Every child deserves a little Christmas.
You know, I'll tell you my little Santa Claus story. It was a many years ago, back in the early '90s. No, seriously.
No, I'm just kidding.
I put up with this every time I what?
I love you, Rick. I love you, buddy.
No, many years ago, I was a police officer in Canada, and Christmas came along. I learned from some teachers that there was a family in the Woodside area of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, on the Woodside side. There was a family there. It was a single mom, had like 3 children, gave the age groups, so on. They had nothing. She couldn't even afford to pay her rent. She's probably going to get evicted and those type of things. And it's like Christmas is coming up. I went, oh my goodness, they have nothing? No Christmas presents, nothing. So I went out shopping and had somebody help me. And we loaded up, we packaged it up, got their names on the packages and so on. Loaded it up, took it to work, put it in the back of the police car. And I went in and talked to my sergeant, Charlie Verge. I said, you need to release me for about an hour and a half or so. He goes, what? Let's just let me go. What's going on? Don't want to know. Okay. So off I went. I drove 4 or 5 blocks to her house, knocked on the door, and she answered the door. It's like about 10:30 at night. Kids are all in bed. And she comes over and she says, no, she's worried. She's going to get arrested or something. And I said, ma'am, had some volunteers. I understand that you're having a difficult Christmas and I need your help. What? Okay, put your shoes on. She comes out to the car and she helps me unload. And here's turkey dinner. There's the fixings, you name it, for turkey for the next day. It's already cooked. And then all these toys. And she was in tears. She was just destroyed by this. And I went, Merry Christmas, man. Have a good day. Went back to work, told Charlie what I had done. And he got teary-eyed. And he said, he goes, you really are Santa Claus. I said, I am today. You know, but my point, I think, I did something really nice for somebody. So I can imagine what you feel like. You're doing this nice for thousands. And the thing is that not every country has this facility called the Toys for Tots that we have in the United States. And we're reaching out as Americans, as an organized group with the Marine Corps, which I'm very proud of, to do this type of service to the poor, the needy in our communities throughout this country. Hats off to you guys, man. I love it.
Yeah, it's a pleasure for sure. Like I mentioned earlier, it, completely changed my way of seeing things. I never really volunteered or anything like that before the Marine Corps. So it was a new experience, and it's one of the best experiences I've had in the Marine Corps. Going out there again with the Family First Center and actually handing those kids off those toys and seeing them smile and be happy. Because, you never know what their situation's really like at home or how bad it could really get.
Right.
And, you don't know if they were there last year or the year before and if they got a Christmas. So when you see those kids come in, most of them aren't smiling yet because they haven't gotten their toys. They see this long line. They're bummed out. Sometimes it goes into the night. They're getting tired. But then they get up to you. You're in your dress blues. And you hand them these toys. And they just glow.
Yeah.
And it's something I've never experienced.
It's magical in its
a
own.
very unique experience. And that's why I'm so happy to be doing it a second year. So I'm happy to keep on going.
So Ken Jones puts in question, let's say a guy moves to Canada. Do they have Toys for Tots in Canada?
To the best. Had to throw in the hay, didn't you?
Yeah, he sure did.
Thank you, Ken. To the best of my knowledge, they don't have a program called Toys for Tots. If they have another program that's similar to it, I'm not aware of it.
Yeah.
And I lived there for 23 years, I believe. And I'm not quite aware whether or not they have a program.
So I guess that draws up another question, because our show is global, right? So if somebody from another country wants to send you a package to donate to that, where would they do that?
That's a very unique question. I don't exactly have a perfect answer. I'd say getting in touch with the actual Toys for Tots HQ is going to be your best way,
Good
because
answer, yeah.
they connect with every program across the country, and anything that we're doing overseas would probably have to go through them.
Yeah. Awesome.
Better yet, just do a donation because it's easier. There's no customs involved. There's no freight involved.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Because I was just thinking U.S. Customs, all the paperwork, everything else.
Here's a challenge
cumbersome.
for everybody outside the United States: create your own program.
True.
You've got different ethnic groups, and there's different times of year that's important to them. That
It doesn't have to be our holiday, right?
That's
It's
right.
just about,
go use one of your local custom holidays that you have in your country and do the same thing.
it's a brilliant idea, Mike.
And the other side of that coin too is to call out to philanthropists, the billionaire community and so on. This is an opportunity to make things right or make things better for people in the third world. There's a lot of places in Central and South America, African countries that can utilize this sort of benefit as well. So, rather than sending out iPhones and computers and so forth, I mean, that's important as well. But I mean, at the same token, here's something that they can jump on board with too.
Well, they do the program differently too. It's
Sure.
For those countries that have trouble feeding their people, give them the resources so they can help themselves feed their own people.
That's just as important. Yeah.
And
to take the guy fishing.
You got somebody giving a hard time about Mounties on the Run. What is it?
Was that Meals by Mounties, according to Ken Jones for Canada?
Meals by Mounties?
Yeah. That'd
They
be
have
the
that?
name of the. Well, I think that could be one.
Okay, Meals by
He's
Mounties.
giving ideas.
Meals by Mounties.
That's right. Why not?
I
Right?
can see.
Hey, listen, if you want the magic to happen, it doesn't have to be an American thing. Kids are kids anywhere in the world. People need help. Don't be afraid to give a gift if it's food or money or hell, a pillow and a blanket if you need it, right?
Well, we're kind of doing something messed up with Corporal Holland. He doesn't know the back joke with Rick. So
What?
before you were born,
Here we go.
way before you were born,
When the
Most-
dinosaurs roamed the
many
planet.
people, to avoid the Vietnam War, would go to Canada. Well, Rick went in the Marine Corps, and after he got out of the Marine Corps, then he went to Canada. So
My intention was pure. Okay.
Sure, eh?
they wanted more people here.
No. I was going up and I reconnoitered the country to find out whether or not it would be easy for just a small branch of Marines to come up there, a small group of Marines to come up and take over the place
No,
and make it part of the 51st state of the United States.
Pretty sure you just got out of the wrong plane.
I did.
That's all that was.
Actually, the reality was I was down in Norfolk, Virginia, got drunk in a skunk, and I woke up in Halifax.
There.
So now you got a little background on all this Canadian stuff going on. And he doesn't know what they have up there because he's on the height. He snuck into the constables and he was hiding from everybody else.
Right.
So he didn't want to draw attention. He might get deported.
He was looking for the local Portillos. They didn't know what he was talking about.
I was always taught, and it was particularly survival tactics in the Marine Corps, was that, hey, if you want to hide someplace, hide in the most obvious place where they'll never look at you, which was the police force in Halifax. But they didn't find me.
And they gave him a pension too.
Yeah, they gave me a pension.
Well, they got that's on camera in front of the public, so that'll be great for you.
Can't get me
Moving
now.
forward.
I mean,
No,
I'm
yeah,
back in the U.S.
Right. McHenry County. No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, it's a very interesting that the amount of time that you're putting into this to come out here today to talk about this. to let the world know and give them information about how it actually works is fantastic. I think that what you're doing is wonderful, and I think you said it right off that you nailed it. You nailed it right on the head when you hand those gifts over to the kids. It makes you want. It becomes an addiction, right?
Yeah, it really is. I mean,
and that's the kind of hope that we need, man. So that's great. That's fantastic. What do we got from Ken to Ken? He's on a roll today. What do we got?
What is he smoking?
I don't know, but he's not sharing. The truth is, times are tough for everyone, but your tough time may be a goal for a family. Donating just one toy can change a family's year. Yeah, absolutely, Kent. I think that's really good and well put. Thanks for all that you do. Kids shouldn't feel adult pain. Wow, that's powerful.
Wow.
And that's 100% true. Well put, Ken. So what's next? What are the next steps that you're in right now, coming into season, right? So we're into that season. So you're out here now. What's the next big step for you guys?
Yeah. So, we just did our Jeeps on the Run. So we've got our largest influx of toys that we're going to get for the season. Anything else will be purchased with supplemental toys. But right now, our primary focus is getting all those toys out to the organizations in time for Christmas. We want to make sure all the children that we can in this community get a toy. So we're going to give the organizations the toys they requested. If we have anything left over, we're going to do our best to push those out in a second round of toys to the same organizations, or ones that maybe missed the deadline on requesting, but they still want to get involved with us. We'll try and push out toys to them. We're basically just going to do our very best to push out everything we have in the warehouse and give a child as many toys as we can.
That's awesome.
Are you connected or in contact with the other LCOs? I know that Kane County and DuPage, McHenry County, you all are in conversation with them, because I know one county that they always have toys left over. Matter of fact, they had 3 or 4 storage facilities in the county that they would store their stuff. That instead of them storing it, they should be. I would think roll over the toys to you guys, because toys have a shelf life just like everything else. What's hot this year is not next year.
Tickle me almost still not.
But so the coordinators themselves are constantly talking to each other across county lines. I mean, I'm not directly involved in that myself. I've seen some of the email chains where I've had to go in there and answer some response. I've seen several counties communicating with each other, and they kind of have a powwow at the end of the year, at the beginning and the end of the season, where they all get together and talk about the numbers and stuff like that. I mean, yes, we'd like to push out as many toys as possible at the warehouse, but it's also very nice to have a bit of a surplus, because like I mentioned before, there's going to be a bit of a drought at the very beginning of the season where people are already going to want orders filled with toys, but we don't have them. So it does alleviate a little bit of pressure on the front end of a new season to have those toys. So it's
how
a
much?
balance.
I know that where you're at up there in North Chicago, and you got the city of Chicago, Rockford. Do you all reach out to Rockford area with Toys for Tots?
I don't believe so.
That's because I figured that would be a populous place. Which is it?
Second largest city in Illinois.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Kind of wondering.
It's one of the top 5 worst neighborhoods to live in the nation.
Yeah. Welcome to the excited states of America.
So for the Roger That crew, is there anything new popping up that you want to announce, or you guys have anything going on?
Wow.
Well,
Ken also says, great to see a young Marine. Started to think they were all old guys.
he's gonna have a wise ass in the group.
Yeah.
Well, right now we're locally in McHenry County. Our Marine Corps League detachment, the VFW, and American Legion are working on a concept to get our own facility, have a building that's going to be available for resources for veterans and their families. So the legal stuff, most of that stuff is now done. We're getting ready to go into fundraising phase. And then once we raise X amount of dollars, then we can actually start talking about locating and building. So the American Veterans Alliance is what they're going to be called. And so we're at, we've been working on it since August. So it's starting to get to that point that we can be more, provide more conversation. And once we want to make sure the messaging is right. We don't want to have 12 people giving 12 different messages.
Sure.
Making promises that
Or empty promises that they can't follow through
Right.
with without knowing.
But basically, the concept is the not-for-profit we created is so that these three organizations have a permanent home that they are considered part owners.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They have an equal share in the voice on how the building's used. We just want to make sure the building is not just sitting there. So the AVA, as we call it, it's about having a piece of property and a building. And once we get it, then we can figure out how we do what we do to help out veterans and their families.
And there are a lot of ways to look at this type of a concept. The American Veterans Alliance is simply that. It's not a veterans group per se. It's composed of three different veterans groups: the American Legion, VFW, as well as the Marine Corps
The
League.
United Alliance.
So it's
right.
sort of a united alliance,
Yeah.
but the American Veterans Alliance is really, if you look at it from a practical point, it's a building. It's a facility. And in that facility, lots of things can happen. Like we're talking about Jeeps on the Run. They could end up there after they do their run. This is a facility where they can end.
Awesome.
And the Scouts could have meetings there. Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, Brownies.
So it's a venue.
Exactly. Those types of things. And I don't want to go too far with it.
Sure.
I'm saying, and I use the word can.
Right.
So we're looking at it. We're entertaining how best we can turn this sort of a concept into a community-based project.
Gotcha.
So that's what we're looking at. So we haven't really defined all of those different categories yet, but we got a think tank in place, and it's pretty awesome. It's pretty good little program. So
That's exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. I think this takes veterans action and growth on another scale.
Yeah, I would have to
it
say
advances
so.
it.
So I want to mention out to the folks that we actually have a box in our lobby for Toys or Tots. It's at 1400 South Route 31 in the Tanya building in McHenry County. Right. Or if you want to come from out of state and come hang out at the studio, you're more welcome to do that at the same.
If you want to start a podcast, talk to them.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
They'll
Absolutely.
entertain anything.
So yeah,
That and we're always looking for sponsors for our group to keep this flowing because nothing's free.
that's right.
So
That's right. Don't forget to go and check them out.
Marines, we'll call that.
Don't forget to go and check them out. Don't be afraid to smash that like button and subscribe. And feel free anytime that our show is live. If you have questions for the crew, feel free to chat in. They would live like we had today. The more interactive, the better it is. We get some actual direct questions, which is fantastic that you guys are able to answer that just the same. So
Listen, go ahead.
and we're open to there's some people that would think, say, you need to contact somebody for a podcast.
Yep.
Well, before you send that, how about why should we go and call them up? Because we want to make sure we vet the individuals
Sure.
we bring on board. We just don't want to bring somebody on because you think he's neat. What's his background? For all
sure.
We do have those in the ranks. Well, I won't say they're in the ranks, but we do have those wannabe warriors. And
Right.
we find out that once we start talking to them, they're not.
Well, stolen valor is a thing,
That's right.
and that's not cool. But I guess the best way to say that would be if you know somebody that you think would be good for the show, have that person reach out to them. We'll vet them out, and then would love to have them on the show based on the interest that we have. If you have any subjects or categories that you want to hear from Roger That Chronicles, feel free to email that too.
McHenry County
MCL.
MCL@gmail.com.
There you go.
Awesome.
And we hope the board passes that.
Hey, on that note, first off, we want to thank Tom Holland, Corporal Type, United States Marine Corps.
One each.
I'm
For-
22 now. Yeah.
Oh, no, one each.
Hmm?
There's only one of you.
Oh,
One
that's
each.
right. Well, don't get me confused with Spider-Man. That's a That's a nickname I got sick of pretty fast. You know, you got to play the teenager in high school while I was actually in high school. So you know, I didn't get word that the auditions were out. So I missed out.
Well, think of it, you do sound like Spider-Man.
There's nothing wrong with Spider-Man. Nothing wrong.
Oh my God! As soon as he said Spider-Man, click, click, click.
Right.
Well, thank you for coming today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I'd love to come out again if you ever need me to come out. I'll talk about whatever you want to. But yeah, it was a pleasure coming out here. I really enjoyed this.
This is an awesome program. Thank you for being a part of that program and explaining it to us. It's very informative. Our next show is going to be on Thursday, the 21st of December, 2024. And we look forward to you being there.
We'll talk about Christmas.
We're going to talk a lot about Christmas. What is that? Thank you.
And for all you vets out there, get out there and see the American Legion, VFW, Marine Corps League, the Navy League, the AMVETS, and they got all kinds of other Fleet Reserve. We'll be good to go.
Take care, folks. See you then.